Hi, I'm Valerie Bodell, representing orally Leonard and Marie. A story by Harvey Pekar with art by Gary Dumb. Most of the pages have 6 panels, 6 squares called panels, 2 across and 3 down. Page 1. In the first row of panels, Pekar faces out and speaks directly to readers. I know a guy named Leonard that's a book dealer. He finds rare books and sells them. Runs his business out of his house. Real nice guy. He's a lot older than me, maybe about 60, but we get along just fine. No generation gap kind of problems or anything like that. Some people get intolerant when they get to be Leonard's age, but Leonard's cool that way. He doesn't get down on younger people, or anyone else as long as they act reasonably. Pekar continues to address readers in text boxes above images of himself and Leonard having coffee together. Leonard's a bachelor, and I get the feeling he's kind of a lonely guy. He lives near this building I work at, and sometimes when I'm taking a break in the late afternoon, he'll come over to the cafeteria and work and have a coffee. We'll sit around and shoot the breeze. He's been around a little bit, and he's a good storyteller. He used to deal cards in Las Vegas. Leonard relates, there was a pit boss in one of the casinos named Sherlock Feynman. His father was a great fan of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, etc., etc. So then this drunk goes up to the cum line to place a bet, and his lower plate falls out of his mouth, lands right on the table. So Sherlock jumps up and puts his upper plate on top of this guy's lower plate and says, "You're faded." Okay, here's a note for listeners. "You're faded" means that Sherlock bets against the drunk. Page 2. Leonard and Pekar share a laugh over the drunk and the pit boss. Pekar continues his narration. Leonard knew I was interested in history, and once in a while he'd turn me onto a book he thought I'd like. The story continues in various settings around the neighborhood. Leonard explains, "Here's that book I told you about, Testaments of Time, about some of the great archaeologists and their discoveries. Take it home and look it over. You might find out something interesting." Pekar replies, "Thanks. I'll get it back to you as soon as I can." Leonard says, "There's no hurry. Keep it if you like it." Pekar continues, addressing readers. "Anyway, a lot of times I used to complain to Leonard about how I couldn't find a girlfriend and how bad that made me feel. I used to complain about it all the time, but he was always sympathetic. He even tried to help me." Leonard, "Kid, I wish I could help you. You know, I'm thinking my sister might know a girl your age. I'll ask her." Pekar notes, "Leonard didn't turn up anyone for me, but I appreciated the fact that he made an effort. Anyway, I thought he was doing okay with women. He mentioned this one lady friend of his now and then, but I found out he really wasn't that tight with her." Leonard explains, "No, I don't see her that often. Actually, there's another guy around that she likes more than me." Page 3. Pekar faces the reader in the first panel, but then shows readers a ticket booth on the street and an interior view of Marie's home. He explains that, "I suddenly realized that Leonard was doing lousy with women. That made me feel bad. Here I was, besieging him with my hard luck stories when he had troubles of his own. A couple of nights later, I was walking down the street and I stopped to talk to this woman named Marie, who worked in a box office of this show in my neighborhood. She was a really fine person, a widow in her 50s who'd had some hard luck but didn't let it get to her. She was real cheerful, bright, and interested in stuff. She was nice looking, too, younger looking than her age. She could get along with just about anybody. She did a lot of stuff with her 19-year-old daughter, so she knew a lot of the younger people in the neighborhood. She liked them and could relate to them well and do it without changing her style. I mean, she didn't try to act like a kid when she was rapping with them. She acted her age and got over just fine. She had real dignity. Anyway, one time when I was talking to her, I got a brainstorm. 'Look, Marie, you're not going with any guys right now, are you?' Marie answers, 'No. Why?' 'Well, I know a guy I think that you might really hit it off with. He's a bookseller, see? A real nice guy, pretty knowledgeable, sensible.' Page 4. Pekar narrates, "I told her about Leonard and then asked her if she'd be interested in meeting him. It seemed like a natural. So, what do you say? Can I introduce you two? I think you'd really get along well." "Sure, he sounds like a nice guy." Pekar, "Now I want to tell you he ain't the handsomest guy in the world. He's just a regular, average-looking guy. Hope that's okay with you." "Sure, I'm not looking for a glamour boy." Pekar resumes his story. "I went away from there feeling great. 2 really nice people, both lonely probably, and I had a chance to fix them up. I was always asking people for favors, always telling them my problems, and never in a position to do them any good. Here was my chance to square myself with humanity. Next time I saw Leonard, I told him about Marie. Yeah, she's nice looking, and she's got an interesting background. Her father used to be the foreign affairs columnist of the Plain Dealer. I was delighted when I found out that Leonard had heard of her father." Leonard responds, "Oh, yeah. Brilliant man. He wrote a few books and had them printed privately. I have a couple of them. So look, Leonard, want to meet her? Yeah, she sounds real nice. My schedule's a little uncertain now, though. Let me get back to you about when we should get together. Page 5. Picard continues, but he didn't seem to want to set a definite date to meet Marie. So, look, you want to go up to the show and meet this lady this week sometime? Leonard puts him off. Well, this week really isn't too good. Let me get back to you on it, okay? Picard tells readers that I was feeling lousy about stuff now. Here I thought I had the girl of Leonard's dreams for him, and he wouldn't even check her out. Plus, I told Marie what a nice guy he was, and yet he didn't show up. I felt like I'd let her down. But every once in a while, he would show that he had Marie in the back of his mind. Leonard says, you know that woman you told me about? Is she still working at the show? We really ought to go see her sometime. Picard admits, I had pretty much given up on Leonard and Marie meeting, but one day Leonard surprised me. Leonard, say, if that woman is still around, let's go meet her tonight, okay? Picard replies, yeah, sure. Boy, you're really going to like her. So we meet in front of the box office. It was a bitter cold winter night. Amid falling snow and movie posters for the Rocky Horror Picture Show and Debbie Does Dallas, Picard introduces Leonard and Marie. Leonard, this is Marie, the lady I told you about. Leonard responds, pleased to meet you. Page 6. Picard narrates the meeting. So they started talking. Marie was real nice and poised, but Leonard seemed nervous. Leonard stammers. Yeah, well, Picard continues. I thought they'd have a lot to talk about. They both read quite a bit. They were fairly close to each other in age and had been around. But all Leonard could talk about was the weather. Picard provides examples of Leonard's one-track conversation. Aren't you cold in that booth? Does that heater keep you warm enough in there? You know they ought to recess that opening that you hand the tickets through. That way the wind wouldn't blow on you. Picard's aghast. I'm watching the whole thing, amazed that that's all Leonard can say. Picard thinks, Leonard, can't you think of anything else to talk about? You're messing up. I tried to enliven the conversation. Yeah, Leonard's familiar with your father's work. He even got some of his books. But Leonard doesn't continue that line of thought very far. He rejoins with, yeah, I do. You sure you're not too cold? Page 7. Picard notes. Then, kind of abruptly, Leonard put an end to the conversation. Leonard, well, look, I'm sure you don't want me taking up your time at work here when the weather is so bad. Why don't you give me your phone number, and we can see each other under more pleasant circumstances? Picard tells readers that Marie gave him her phone number, but I knew he wasn't going to call her. We went to get something to eat afterward. Both of us knew that evening had been an embarrassing waste, but we didn't talk about it. Who knows why it didn't work out? Maybe Leonard got nervous. I guess there's some guys that never get too old to be nervous around women. Or maybe the chemistry wasn't right. Who can tell? Anyway, I liked them both, and it's too bad things didn't go any further. Well, anyways, it did me good to try to help somebody else out for a change, instead of vice versa. It made me feel a little better about myself, you know what I mean?